Before we can answer the ultimate question, which just so happens to be the title of our video, what happened to Erik Karlsson? I think it's important to take a step back and ask another question. Who is Erik Karlsson and how did we get here? Time Warp! Before EK65 was a two-time Norris Trophy winner, and for the casuals that means best defenseman in the game, he was Erik Sven Gunnar Karlsson, I think that's how you pronounce that, just a kid from Sweden with a dream to one day make the National Hockey League. He was inspired by the hockey talents of Daniel Alfredsson, Mats Sundin, and Peter Forsberg. Funny thing enough is they were all forwards, and Karlsson would, as we all know, become one of the highest rated defensive talents in the game that we have ever seen. Which takes us to why he was ranked 4th among European skaters by the NHL Central Scouting Service prior to the 2008 entry draft. Ultimately, he was drafted 15th overall by the Ottawa Senators in front of their own hometown. The pick was made by the captain Daniel Alfredsson as well. Ottawa even made some moves prior to this pick to ensure no other team would select Karlsson. He would spend a brief moment in the AHL before really coming into his own, playing on the Sens the following season. In reality, it wasn't actually until the 2011-2012 NHL season that our long-haired King Clancy mustache friend would really have his breakout year as a notable defenseman in the league. EK would finish with 78 points and win the Norris Trophy as the league's top defenseman in only his third season. Side note, Erik became the second Sweden-born player to win the Norris and the third player under 23 years old to win the award, joining the list of Bobby Orr and Dennis Potvin. Not too shabby at all. This led to Ottawa signing Karlsson to his first big rig contract. A 7-year, $45 million contract was issued to the young Swede. While some were skeptical, he lived up to it no doubt. In 2013, following the 2012 lockout, Karlsson suffered an Achilles tendon injury from Pittsburgh Penguins forward Matt Cook. EK was out indefinitely for Ottawa, and many were skeptical of how this would affect such a young talent this early on. He was also leading older defensemen in goals at this time as well. A side note is Matt Cook is notorious for those dirty plays and was actually suspended a lot. Shockingly, he wasn't for this one. Not that it matters or has anything to do with this video, but anytime there's an opportunity to look at how dirty Matt Cook was, we're not passing that up. After a speedy recovery about 4 months earlier than expected, Erik Karlsson returned. The team would squeeze into the playoff race and be eliminated by Matt Cook and the Penguins in the Eastern Conference semifinal, with Karlsson registering 1 goal and 7 assists in 10 games. The following season, Karlsson appeared in even a greater form, registering 20 goals and 74 points. The Sens, however, did not make the playoffs, but Karlsson was now the notable face of this franchise. Due to his success and recent rise of sauce, Karlsson would be named the captain of the Ottawa Senators. Straight from this, he led all defensemen in points for the 3rd time in 4 seasons, held a career high of 21 biscuits, went on to play in all 82 of Ottawa's games for the 2nd season in a row. He led the Sens to a playoff spot, something no one saw coming. This caused Erik Karlsson to achieve his 2nd Norris Trophy, beating out fellow nominees Drew Doughty and PK Subban. If you thought things couldn't get better for the Swede, the next season he found himself playing another full season, another career high of 66 assists, along with points at 82. He broke the record for most points in a single season for all Swedish-born defensemen. And he may have not have won the Norris Trophy that season, but he was a nominee. But after 312 consecutive games, the streak was broken, and so was Karlsson. At the time, this was just a minor issue, but it was this moment where things started to shake. He finished the season 3rd place in defenseman at 4 points, and in 2nd place in assists, along with blocked shots, earning him his 4th Norris Trophy nomination. The Senators made the playoffs after another impressive season. The Sens, led by Karlsson, would make it to a double overtime Game 7 Eastern Conference Final, where once again, as we all know, one of the darkest days in hockey history, they were eliminated by the Pittsburgh Penguins and Chris Kunitz. Karlsson would also set a playoff team record for most assists and points for a defenseman in the playoffs. Sadly, this was the turning point for both Ottawa and Erik Karlsson. He'd missed the beginning of the next season due to a few minor surgeries to repair the torn tendons, and Ottawa was on the verge of exploding. Karlsson's production dwindled, and a lot had to come into play for that. Despite coping with injuries, he was coping with the loss of a child. Erik and his wife, Melinda Karlsson, announced that their unborn first child had passed away. Following the death of their child, the Karlssons received a lot of attention. Most of it was positive, and condolences from the fans, players, and had league-wide support. However, someone was feeling very different about these events. The Karlssons received death threats, and were almost being stalked and mocked for the loss of their child from an unknown source. Eventually they were able to find the source, and it was to everyone's surprise fellow teammate Mike Hoffman's fiancée. This led to a bit of an uproar in Ottawa, and mostly in the locker room. We don't want to get too far off topic, but there is a lot more about this case that's just really interesting. Fast forward, they are actually both dealt out of Ottawa, and this started Ottawa's rebuild. Erik Karlsson said later on he never wanted to actually leave Ottawa. He was dealt to the San Jose Sharks and signed an 8-year, $92 million contract. That translates to roughly $11.5 million a season. That's a very hefty contract for a defenseman after his prime. As we stand today, sadly he hasn't lived up to it yet. His new contract made Karlsson the highest paid defenseman in league history. His first season in San Jose was slow. A very slow start for a man who is now making serious money. He started to turn it around, but just wasn't the guy a team like the Sharks needed. Then the injuries started. In 2018-19, he missed games because of suspension and a groin injury, and he missed the last third of this season because of a broken thumb. On top of all of this, his family moved to a new country, and the stop of play due to COVID and due to the Sharks not making the playoffs, it's been a long break for Karlsson. Whenever the season resumes, he would have gone about a year of not playing hockey. Between the loss of his child, the tragic end in Ottawa, moving his family multiple times, injury after injury after injury, missing so much time, it's hard to be optimistic that EK65 will come back as even a top 10 defender. As we always say, it's not just about the points, and while it's no secret his point production has gone down a great deal, we'd argue he still is a top blue line guy. If you do the analysis and really look at his stats, Karlsson breaks up just short of 17% of rushes per target, his puck possession is on point, and defensively he is still elite in our book. It's hard to say what the future holds for him. San Jose hasn't really given him too much help with the power play and just the general 5-on-5 play either. We all hope to see a resurgence for the Swede, being one of the most complete and likable defensive talents the game has ever seen. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see more content just like this, please like, comment, and subscribe for more. By the way, we also have a benchkings shop that is out now, and the link is in the description. We have a lot of great shit on there, so if you don't want to be a total loser, go check it out. Thank you. We'll see you next time.